Hi, my name's Kerry Morris and I own Eat Cake in Auckland, New Zealand. I'm also an ambassador for Pettinice. Today I'm going to show you how I cover a cake in fondant and also how to fix any problems like cracking or tearing that may happen when you're covering a cake. So the first thing I do when covering a cake is I take a soft tape measure and I measure from one side to the other, and that's about 21 inches, and that's going to show me how much fondant I need to roll out on my mat. To cover a 10-inch cake by 6 inches tall, I would use a packet, maybe a packet and 3/4 of the 750 gram white icing, or any colour. Today I'm using white. Now Pettinice needs to be kneaded when you take it out of the packet. You can't just roll it straight out. So we're going to give it a good knead to start with. Now I use corn flour when rolling out my fondant. And if it's a really warm day or if it's exceptionally humid, you can use a little bit in this process when you're kneading. Just put a little bit on your bench. Stop it from sticking to your hands and or your bench. So I'm going to put a little bit of corn flour on my surface. And you can also put a little bit on the top of your fondant. When rolling the fondant, you need to pick it up and move it around. Now I roll my fondant out to about 4 or 5 mils thick. I use my tape measure and measure, and that's just about right. Cooled board water, and I'm going to spray my cake. And then I take a paper towel and just dry my turntable so the fondant doesn't stick to the turntable. Then we are going to get our fondant. You can use a little bit of corn flour if you like to stop it from sticking to your rolling pin. And we're going to roll it into our pin, our cake, and then just roll it over. Smooth at the top so it sticks, and then quickly go around the top edge and get that stuck onto the cake. From here we're going to work our way around, pulling out the bottom or the skirt part of the fondant and smoothing down the sides as we go. At this point things can start happening, like a little bit of cracking and tearing here, and that's okay. We're going to fix that as we go around. So just pull out the skirt or the bottom and smooth down the sides. At this stage I get my pizza wheel and I trim off the excess fondant around the bottom so it's not pulling down on the fondant on the cake anymore. Then I use my smoother. If it's a little bit sticky, I'll put a little bit of corn flour on the cake and smooth it. And then we're just going to work our way around. Here you can see it's cracked and teared. And we're just going to push that down and smooth it over, and it will disappear. Where it's cracked and there's a little bit of elephant skin here at the top, we're just going to smooth over that with our smoother and keep working around. If you have air bubbles, you can use an acupuncture needle or a sewing pin, and you just gently poke into the hole and then smooth it over, and that should get rid of your air bubble. This is what I love about Pettinice, is any lumps or bumps or cracks you can just smooth it over and it will blend into itself and disappear. To get my sharp edges and also to smooth out further these cracks that we have had happen at the top, I use a perspex board and I'm going to flip my cake upside down. Now I'm going to put a little bit of corn flour on the top of my board so that the cake doesn't stick to it, and then put it on top of the cake. Lift up the cake, make sure you hold onto the board so it doesn't slip away, and flip the cake upside down. This is a great way to get those clean edges at the bottom of your cake and also to get sharp edges at the top. I'm going to cut off the excess fondant at the bottom. And this will give you a really smooth finish on the bottom of your cake when you flip it back up the other way. Now for the top edge, we're going to take our smoother and we're going to push down on the fondant until you get the fondant touching the board. We're going to do this all the way around the cake. If you push too hard, you can get a little lip of fondant, and that's okay. We're just going to take our knife and holding the knife against the cake, just slice that little bit off. We're going to take the board and we're going to flip our cake back up the right way. Because we've put corn flour on the top of this, it will just pop right off. And then you can take your smoother and that's how I cover a cake in fondant.